Aloha, it's CreativeNameToStandOut again with another battle report. This time bringing you a 2,000 point game between my Chaos Legion's army, the Pyre Legion, and an opponent's Skaven. So before we get into the game, I just want to show you this picture of the new color scheme I'll be using for the demons portion of the army. I went with this green and orange because I was looking for an otherworldly kind of look for the demons portion. But I also still wanted to keep the orange theme. So I think it's turning out pretty well. I got the idea from a kind of a color scheme I saw in a room on the internet, and I really liked it, and I think it's going to come out really well. And I just didn't want to do the same purple-blue for Tzeentch. So with that, let's just go ahead and jump in the battle report. Going into deployment, starting on my opponent's left flank, we have a Warp Lightning Cannon, a Rat Dart, 35 Clan Rats, and a weapons team, the Warp Fire Thrower. Inside that unit will be 2 Warlock Engineers, one's a Wizard and one isn't. Moving on to the center, we have a Hell Pit Abomination, 35 Storm Vermin. Inside that unit's a Chieftain BSB and a Grey Seer. Then we have another 35 Clan Rats with another Warp Fire Thrower detachment. On the far right, we have another Rat Dart, and finally a Warp Lightning Cannon. Moving over to my deployment, my right flank facing his left, we have 3 of the Screamers of Tzeentch. Next to them will be 3 Dragon Ogres with great weapons. In the center we have 5 Chaos Warhounds, then 12 Chaos Warriors with halberds and shields. Behind that unit will be my level 4 Sorcerer, Keku's the Pyromancer. As we move on, we can see that I have 12 more Chaos Warriors, each with an additional hand weapon. Inside that unit will be the BSB. Then we have another unit of Warhounds, another unit of Dragon Ogres, this time armed with halberds, and then a unit of 3 Flamers of Tzeentch on the far flank. And then right there behind everything is going to be a proxy, I'm sorry, but that Cold Chariot is standing in for the Flaming Chariot of Tzeentch, and on that will be my Herald of Tzeentch. Here's what the board looks like after deployment, and the Skaven get first turn. So as you can see, the Abomination's already shot up, and this is what it looks like after he moves everything else. With that, we go into Magic phase, and I have to keep in mind he has those Warpstone tokens, so I think here that he might try to pull off a Wither or something, but he doesn't. He just cats the Warp Lightning. He targets these dogs right here, and they end up being killed to a dog. In the shooting phase, his first Warp Lightning Cannon dissipates before it hurts anything, and then this Warp Lightning Cannon rolls a misfire and blows itself up. So it's looking pretty good there. Half of his powerful shooting is gone for me in the first turn. So my game plan is pretty simple. I have the speed on the flanks, and now that half of his shooting is pretty much gone, I can be a little bit more cautious here in the center because I don't want to be forced to go too fast in the center since that Abomination's right there. So I just push all my troops against the wall, pretty much line the battle line like so, and then move my flanks a little bit more aggressively. In the Magic phase, I really want to use Trees of Tzeentch to maximum effect this game, but my opponent's really smart. He knows what to do when encountering the spell. He can let Treason go off and then just stop whatever the offensive spell is, and that's what he does. He stops Firestorm. I do keep the Bolt of Change at the Abomination. Really risky, I know. I could end up giving him a big boon, but it doesn't even win him this turn, so it's not a big deal. Then we go into shooting. In the shooting phase, I use the Flamers to target the weapon team there, but he's behind a wall. There's just too many modifiers. I need 8s to hit, and that's not going to happen. So here's an overlook of the board before we go into Skaven turn 2. Starting from the left and moving on to the right, we have his Rat Dart here. He wants to move it forward to get in the way of the Dragon Ogres, but he fails his March block test and falls short. This is what the center looks like after he's done moving that. And then on the far right, we have another Rat Dart that actually gets into a good position to redirect the other unit of Dragon Ogres. In the second Magic phase, my opponent is going to cast Wither, and I realize I probably won't try to stop at this at all this game because my units are already not very durable. So what's the difference between being Toughness 4 versus being Toughness 3 when there's only 12 warriors? So I let it through. I'm going to stop his more offensive spells. Unfortunately, his next spell went through irresistibly. It was the Warp Lightning, and he kills these dogs. Poor dogs, but you know, it could have been a lot worse. So after that, he goes into the shooting phase, and his flamethrower kills off one of my flamers. And then his lightning cannon, he's just not having very good luck with his artillery this turn. Misfires, spins around in a big circle, and shoots a cannon right down the flank of his blue clan rats. Luckily, the blast kind of lands neatly between these two units, and no more damage is taken. In my next turn, I'm going to declare a charge with the Dragon Ogres into the Clan Rat unit up there in the top. And since he couldn't march last turn, he couldn't get the Giant Rat unit into a position where it's going to redirect me. But it is in the way enough that it's going to affect the trajectory of the charge. So I'm only going to be able to get 2 of the Dragon Ogres in there. But, you know, at least the Rat Pack wasn't in the way completely, and I'm into the meat of his army. I'm really going to aim for his Warlock Engineers. Alright, so here we go into the center, and this is actually going to be a turn of a lot of charges. The first charge to declare are with the warriors with the double hand weapons into the storm vermin, but I guess the wall got in the way and they failed that charge. Next, I declare a charge with the halberds into the abomination for 2 reasons. 1, I want to avoid the impact hits, and 2, more importantly, I have the banner of the eternal flame, so that's really going to help out. I also throw the chariot in there because impacts are always a good thing. And then finally, I declare a charge with the dragon ogres into the rat pack here, just to get them out of the way. In this picture, I get to showcase why I'm bringing screamers in my army. They have this really cool rule called slashing attack, and it's a way in the movement phase to kill things like chaff, or in this case, a weapons team. So when they pass over a unit, I can choose to do D3 strength 4 hits against it, and I just really enjoy it. It's a really good tool to have in the toolbox, and I can think of a lot of clever ways to use it. In this case, it helps me kill a unit that's actually really dangerous to charge. Other than that, I also moved the level 4 into a position where I can cast Glean Magic at the Gracier. Too many R's and L's, apparently. So in the magic phase, I get a good amount of dice, but then I watch my opponent roll 2 6s, and I just cannot shake him. So again, he's going to let Trees and Zinch go through. That's going to put him on equal terms as far as dice are concerned. I do get rid of his Dispel Scroll, but he just ends up stopping my magic phase completely. We jump into the shooting phase. I move my flamers around the side, and I shoot off this weapons team, as you can see in this picture. So I decided to start with the Dragon Ogres first, since they're very powerful and broken. I go ahead and I kill one of the Warlocks, the one that's the Wizard, which helps me out because it has Skitter Leap, and I don't need him to pull any tricks on me. And then, with that, I kill enough Skaven clan rats to win that combat. We then move on to the center with the Chaos Warriors and Chariot versus Abomination, and really the Eternal Flame Banner just tips it in my favor. Now, I don't do enough wounds with the halberds to keep it from attacking me, so I am going to take some casualties, but I do enough where it only has 1 wound left, and so when the mounts of the Chariot attack it, it dies, and it dies for good. So here we go, getting a look of the board as we go into Skaven turn 3, and from here you can see the Storm Vermin are about to charge the Chariot with the Herald on top. That's pretty much going to spell the end of him. He's going to turn his Clan Rats to face my Flamers. If you're wondering why he's doing that, it's because if I fail my March test, there's no way I'm going to be able to get away from him, and he can charge them down. And then finally he moves these rats into a position where if he needs to, he can charge my Sorcerer. He's probably not going to win that, but it's worth a shot. I could roll pretty badly, and he could win from a charge. So my opponent does get a pretty good magic phase finally here. He goes for Wither. I continue my strategy, just let it through to save my dice for more dangerous spells. He 6 dices the dreaded 13th, and he just doesn't make it. We go in the shooting phase. This Warp Lightning Cannon takes aim at my Sorcerer. I have a 3+ ward save, and that pretty much saves me. In the combat phase, his unit does take out the Chariot. We move on to the Dragon Ogres versus the Clan Rats. I kill enough, and I kill his other Warlock Engineer to win that, and he sticks around. Here's another overview of the board as we go into Pyre Legion turn 3, and I'm going to declare quite a few charges again here. First, the left flank of Chaos Warriors will charge the flank of the blue Clan Rats that are engaged with the Dragon Ogres. Then the double-handed weapons will charge the front of the Storm Vermin, and then they'll be assisted by a charge from the other unit of Dragon Ogres into the flank of the Storm Vermin. In addition, the Screamers charge in the Warp Lightning Cannon, and now we can see how the charges worked out. So, down in the center, the halberds don't make it into the flank of the blue Clan Rats, but the double-handed weapons and the Dragon Ogres do make it in the Storm Vermin, and my opponent's in a pretty tough position. So we then move over to the movement phase, and that gamble he took with the pink Clan Rats trying to march block my Flamers just doesn't pay off. In the magic phase, I use one of my magic missiles to take out that rat pack that's hunting down my level 4. And then this time, I want to get off treason because I can actually make it work, and my opponent knows it. He tries to stop it, and he's just not able to. So here we have the rats fleeing, and here we have the combat where treason is on the storm vermin. So here we go into the combat. I, of course, have to offer a challenge, and I may not be Abraham, and the rat may not be a lamb, but it's good enough for Zinch, and he blesses me with... meh. That's pretty much what I get. I'm already weapon skill 7. Being weapon skill 8 isn't going to matter against anything except for other weapon skill 8 and 7 models, so it's not going to impact the game at all. But cool, I have another arm. We go into the regular combat. I kill a bunch more storm vermin. He still has the Grey Seer. He passes his break check. And since the Grey Seer didn't break, this unit is still in range of his leadership. They're going to be steadfast on the Grey Seer, and they're going to stick also. Finally, over here with the Screamers versus the Warp Lightning Cannon, they kill all the crew, and that's the end of that. Alright, so here's a look at the board as we go into Skaven turn 4, and my opponent isn't going to have any charges declared. He just turns the clan rats around. He then finally brings on his gutter runners, and they're going to try to take out these flamers. And then just one more look at the board before we jump into the magic phase. I still have my Dispel Scroll, so I can stop this phase cold if I use my dice right, and he doesn't throw an irresistible spell, which he unfortunately does. So he gets the dreaded 13th off, and he's targeting the Halberd unit, and he does turn them into rats. Pretty easy to do when there's only 9 of them, but he almost actually failed to roll. He was rolling really bad here at the end. His miscast result was also really bad. It was the 4 result. And he hits quite a few of his own rats, most of my warriors. Unfortunately, he doesn't really wound my warriors that much. I think only half of them wound, and then I roll quite a few 6s. So I end up only losing 2. He ends up losing, I think, like 12 Skaven storm vermin, and then, of course, his Grey Seer. With the help of the Reign of Chaos table, my ward save was boosted here, and I continue my hot rolling for ward saves, and I don't lose this unit to the gutter runners. After that, we go straight into combat. We go to the main combat just to see what's going to happen. I kill the rest of his storm vermin, and that's where my opponent calls the game. And with my opponent deciding to concede the game, the Pyre Legion wins. So it was a really fun game. I really appreciate my friend coming over and playing this game at my house. And I really have to say, I think he had a lot of bad luck with his artillery. They really crapped out on him. I think we both played very well in the magic phase. He really did a good job of stopping my magic from going through by letting those treasons through when it didn't really matter. And then I think I had a pretty sound strategy letting the withers go through. It didn't pan out exactly like I was planning it, where I would then stop his more offensive spells since he did either fail it or get it off irresistibly. But I think the strategy was sound. But overall, it was a very fun game. I really do appreciate everybody watching this. I do appreciate everybody's likes, comments, and subscriptions. And I'll probably have another one out in a week or so. So thanks again for watching. See you later.